Thanks, Stu. And as a livestock nutritionist, I do see the slight irony in being your last presenter before lunch. But yes, I'm passionate about livestock nutrition, and I'm really grateful for the support from Australian Wool Innovation, AWI, and Nuffield Australia that has allowed me to expand my knowledge through this wonderful opportunity that is a Nuffield Scholarship. So for my study topic, I really wanted to go beyond energy and protein and focus on how we can be more strategic and effective in how we approach our vitamin and mineral supplementation with sheep. And this study topic is really a merging of science and practice. My husband, Rob, and I, who's here today, we have a mixed farming operation in central New South Wales, and also with our business partners manufacture a range of grain balancer concentrates. The picture on the left there is a drawing my son Kirby did in the midst of my Nuffield travels. That's Rob taking a load of barley off to the malt house while I'm driving off to catch the plane around the world. So I'm really thankful for my biggest supporter, Rob, and the support he's shown me over the last couple of years to endeavour on my Nuffield travel. But we were fortunate enough to be able to take my family overseas as well, which we thoroughly enjoyed too. So for my study topic, I really wanted to better understand grazing and pasture options that will naturally support sheep health, as well as seek out a whole range of other supplements that are cost-effective, labour and time efficient, and nutritionally effective as well. So on a nutritional level, the timing of supplementation is really based around the increased nutritional requirements of sheep. Now on the cellular level, the heightened requirements are really a function of oxidative stress. And oxidative stress occurs when cells are replicating rapidly and they're working harder and they produce a range of damaging free radicals which can hinder performance. So stress can come in a variety of ways. We have environmental stress, so the heat and cold stress. We have physical stress of mustering, shearing time, weaning. We have metabolic stresses and all the issues that happen at lambing time for that ewe, along with things like introducing lambs onto grain when they come into the feedlot. And we have production stresses, so we don't really think about this as much and we tend to underrate it a little bit. But as we select for animals of high genetic merit, we're looking to improve fertility, we're looking to have more lambs, we're looking to have better milk production, and we're looking to get those lambs growing quickly and off the place. So underpinning the stress response is really how well that immune system's going to function. And we have our first line of defence with our primary antioxidants, copper, zinc, manganese and selenium. We also have our second line of defence if they're a little bit overwhelmed and can't, or the nutrition's not there to support that, with vitamins such as vitamin A and E naturally occurring in green feeding plants, and also the whole range of polyphenols that are available in plants as well. So, as my son depicted in his drawing, I took off down the plane around the world and I visited a whole range of people, and they're very generous with their time. I visited professors and researchers at University of Wyoming, Montana State, the University of Milan, the University of Zaragoza in Spain. I spent time with vet nutritionists from Verbac Animal Health in Piedmont, Italy, with Siva Animal Health in Spain, and the nutritionists over at PGG Wrightson's and Agricom in New Zealand, who are part of DLF Seeds. I spent time with supplement companies in France, and of course farmers who all want to know your annual rainfall and what you're getting for your livestock back home, but also provide a really practical way of what they're doing overseas. So on to the states, and across the rangelands of Wyoming and the mountains of Montana, after the snow melts, we get this beautiful spring and summer flush of grasses, herbs and shrubs. And those shrubs there that you can see are the sagebrush, and they do smell amazing in summer. The sheep are, this is on the Halley family ranch. They have 7,000 sheep, and that's a Peruvian herder. They take a band of 1,000 ewes plus their lambs up to the mountain lease country over summer. So these sheep have access to all these beautiful fresh grasses, shrubs and forages along the way. What's really interesting about the shrubs is that they tend to be higher in protein and minerals and vitamins than the grasses. And the University of Wyoming showed in their research that through analysing their manure, what they're ingesting is that even though they've got all this highly digestible feed available, they will tend to eat some of those shrubs still. And that was very similar to what I saw coming back home in Australia, and I caught up with Dr. Hayley Norman from our friends at the CSIRO here at LambX last year and had the chance to talk to her about the wonderful benefits of saltbush. Now, fun fact for you today, saltbush does not only absorb and draw up salt, it draws up a whole range of minerals, including all those beautiful trace minerals that we saw that form part of the antioxidant system. So I think it's like a superfood for sheep. It is really good stuff, and it will suit in our sort of environment on that marginal cropping country. They're doing a lot of work with widening the rows to fit it down your seeding gear, to plant grazing crops or mixed pastures, so you can complement the saltbush. Because it's so high in minerals, it is lovely to complement them with some alternate highly digestible energy and feed coming in. So it's particularly useful for lambing ewes because they have that heightened requirement and nutrient demand, as well as providing shelter for them as well. Is there any wool growers out there? Yeah. One really interesting thing with saltbush is with the protein and nutrient supplies, it also has high levels of sulphur, which is really important for wool growth. And the research showed from CSIRO that they saw a 20% lift in wool production as well. So over in New Zealand, beautiful country, these volcanic soils around Christchurch on the South Island there, I think are pretty well devoid of minerals because the country is so fresh and new, hasn't had the weathering that's occurred as we have in Australia. There tend to be two types of grazing. We've got this hilly mountain country where they will fertilise those native pastures with selenium-based fertilisers, and then we tend to have irrigated and improved pastures that are grown. There's a huge array of short, medium and long-term supplement options in New Zealand, obviously because they know that they're mineral deficient and have to account for that. When I caught up with Dr. Glenn Judson at DLFC, or Agricom as it's known in New Zealand, we talked about all the research that's been going into their herbs and their plantain and chicory in particular. Clicker stopped working. There we go. Glenn Judson quoted it really nicely. He says, one long-term solution is to supply nutrients with every mouthful of feed. And using some of these herbs, such as plantain, they have elevated levels of vitamins and minerals. And one in particular is calcium. It has 4 times the amount of calcium than ryegrass. So really great for lactating ewes and fast-growing lambs where we have that bone structure that we need to support. So if saltbush might not suit your country, maybe integrating some herbs can naturally support your sheep along the way. One thing that the Kiwis are really good at, and it's probably because of their inherent mineral deficiencies, is that they're good at testing things. They're good at testing the soil, the forages, and they're really good at testing their animals. For trace minerals, liver biopsy is the most accurate way to go, and they have a really great system over in New Zealand where they can do that. And that's because most of their lambs go direct to processor. They can simply fill in a submission form like we do a feed test, tick the box for the minerals that they want, and the vet at the abattoir will simply take that liver sample and send it off for testing and send the results back to yourself and the vet to help you make a more informed decision of what you need to do. So testing forages and livestock was really common in Europe as well, and that was mostly to fine-tune their rations so they're giving them exactly what they need and be really cost-effective, but it was also to help improve their animal health. And this is a housed sheep feedlot system in Spain, in the north of part of Spain, and in housed systems they tend to have 3 main animal health issues: acidosis, heat stress, in summer typically, and respiratory disease. Those 3 issues are also really common when we feedlot lambs in Australia, so we can learn a lot from these systems as well. Because they're unable to use a lot of medications in their feeds, they tend to rely on the benefits of those plant compounds. And one of those ones is compounds from the oregano plant. And talking to the farmers over there and the nutritionists, it's given me the confidence to be able to use that in our lamb feedlotting rations back home in Australia, and we've had a lot of success this year with integrating some of those compounds into our feeds. The other one that had me stumped for a little while when I was over there, and as a nutritionist I like to get in and I'll smell the feed and I'll look at the feed, and there was this one familiar smell I couldn't quite pinpoint. And as we're trying to translate what I'm asking them and what they need to tell me, but it turns out that they were adding eucalyptus powder to the feed for those lambs first coming into the house system to help their respiratory health. And no doubt the polyphenols would have had a positive effect on their immune system as well. So in France, some of the supplement companies I visited had a range of products that I all wanted to bring back to Australia. But the one on the left there, the supplement in pails, that contains 7 different plant compounds. So a lot of research has gone into the benefits of some of these plant compounds, animal health and their natural antimicrobial properties. The other one that I was really excited by was the rumen boluses, and there's a whole range of those as well, and they're really strategic in their function. The one picture there is cattle, so it's not going to go on a sheep, that big one there. So they do have smaller pellets, but we can go from a 4-week calcium bolus to an 8-month multivitamin, multi-mineral, plant compound-based bolus, which is really exciting. So being very highly strategic and effective with what they do. This graph here just shows a nice summary that I found during my research from a UK vet in a peer-reviewed journal, and it really summed up the supplement space. We have our free choice minerals, very easy to use, put out, relatively cheap, but how effective they are, we're not 100% sure. Do all of the animals eat the required amounts? Do some eat them? Do some not eat them? So there's a little bit of difference there, and also the bioavailability of that supplement as well. They might be eating it, but is it actually available to their system? Then we go to things like injections and those rumen boluses, where they cost a little bit more, they're harder to do, you've got to do more work in the yards, but perhaps that's less work than driving around topping up supplement all the time. But they're really quite effective because every animal gets a dose, and the research has been done on them to make sure that they're available and to the animal to use. So we have this balance of cost-effective, ease of use, and making sure it's working. So in my recommendations, it's really about testing and assessing what we do. I think we need to get better at testing animals in Australia, testing your forages seasonally because they will change, and obviously your soil tests come into it as well and how that feeds that whole system. Be more strategic, and the acronym I came up with is PLAN, Productive Livestock through Animal Nutrition. The short-term approach is really that sort of growing out of lambs, those quick sort of turnover scenarios, whereas the medium-term approach is perhaps more your lambing ewes or planting some summer crops and herbs. And then your long-term approach is how do we make our soil health better, which we've heard from today, maybe integrating some saltbush if it suits your country, and sort of that more long-term approach to feed your sheep that way. And then overlaying that is being effective, cost-effective, labour efficient and time-effective, and nutritionally effective as well. Like, are those animals getting what they need? And finally, for my last slide, I found this Chinese proverb from Confucius along the way, and I think it really embodies Nuffield, and I hope the new scholars take it on as well. It's learn avidly, question repeatedly, analyse it carefully, then put what you have learned into practice intelligently. Thank you.